this whole thing around choosing your path to paradise and your passion and all this stuff, it's a very difficult thing. And a lot of people find it difficult and find it challenging. So what I would say is that I want to give you an analogy of something which I think is very relevant to this. And that is that, one of the things I did, alhamdulillah, very early on in my entrepreneurial kind of career is that I did products on Amazon. So I sold on Amazon. Alhamdulillah, I saw some really, really great success very quickly. I also helped a lot of other people start businesses. And what I found is that when it got to the stage of learning Amazon at the start, it was all fine. Everyone was okay with it. The research, the learning, like which product am I going to sell? When it got to the point of actually picking a product, people would just go into this mode where it was like, I can't decide. I just can't decide. Like, I'm not sure if I should do this product or this product or this product or this product. Sometimes I think I should do this product. Sometimes I think I should do that product. I don't know what product I should be doing. Maybe I shouldn't do a product. I want to do a product. And there was just so much confusion around it. And a lot of it was because they were assigning so much weight to this decision that it basically led to an inability to make the decision, right? And I'm just giving that example because it's such a concrete example of how it's hard to come to a decision for something important. Because, after they made this decision, you then invest thousands of dollars or pounds into the product. And so when you do that, then, you've kind of put all your eggs in that kind of basket. And so the advice I would actually give to the brothers, and this is for the product specifically, I would say to them, look, bro, it doesn't matter what product you pick. Like, you do your due diligence, you do your istikhara, you ask everyone's advice and stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you pick. It doesn't matter what you pick. Like, whatever you pick, that's fine. Because the fact that you're doing this and you're starting a business and you're trying to learn this whole trade and become successful in it, you have to go through a learning process. And the only way that the learning process is going to happen is by you picking a product. And even if the product fails, what you actually want to get out of this is the experience of learning how to sell, how to create a brand, how to create a product, right? And so in the same way, like if we take this analogy, what I'm saying is that with a lot of the kind of talk around passions and interests and all this kind of thing, I would say it's very, very similar. It's a very similar situation, right? Where you have this kind of confusion around it. You have all this weight attached to doing this one and not doing that one. And we have this kind of, oh my God, like if I do it, I have to do it forever. And so the kind of psychology and the mindset around the passion and the interest is very problematic, and that causes a block. And so I feel like what you need to understand is that really a lot of this comes from chaos. Like literally this whole kind of passion and all this kind of interest, it comes from chaos, right? And I'll just give you like a very real random example of my own life and stuff, right? So look at this, right? Like I'm here right now talking to you guys about confidence and communication and all this stuff. And in my life right now, like this is my big focus. I have a business that I run day to day, but outside of the business, my only focus is confidence and communication and everything to do with this. I have Muslim Mastery, alhamdulillah, which is an organization which I run, and I have systems and people in place that run that. But for me, my time and my focus, what I love, my passion, all this stuff is around confidence, communication, all this. Okay, so this is my thing. I want to move people close to Allah. I want to develop people. This is where it's come from, right? But how did I get to this stage? Well, if I rewind like a step back, what I'll find is that a lot of the people that I worked with in organizations, I was developing them in the Muslim organizations that I was working, right? Developing the du'at, developing different people in their speaking and their confidence and their issues and coaching and all that. Where did that come from? Well, that came from another organization, Al-Maghrib, because I was working with Al-Maghrib. Therefore, this other organization, IERA, hired me. Okay, where did the Al-Maghrib thing come from? Well, Al-Maghrib came from me helping out at the GPU, right? So there's a massive Islam Channel conference that they did, and I helped out there one day, and the brother saw me running that and helping that, and he was like, yeah, you know what, like you'd be really good to be in Al-Maghrib. Okay, so where did the whole GPU thing come from? The whole GPU thing came from me helping at the brother's wedding. Okay, so one of my friends, a very close friend of mine, he was getting married And at his wedding, I helped to do the food arrangements. So I'll give you an example of what happened. Like, they had set up the food, and the way they had set it up, in my opinion, it was wrong and it was inefficient. So I basically came to the brother and I said, look, this is the way I would advise that you set it up. So when I set it up with him, he saw that it worked much better than the way they had planned it and everything. So by the end of that, he was like, look, this guy kind of knows about how to do weddings and stuff, right? Why did I know about weddings? Because when I was a kid, our families would make us serve at weddings, and my dad was always the one who was arranging everything. So what I'm saying is that if you look at this journey, it's complete chaos, right? From me having to serve at weddings as a kid, to helping at my friend's wedding, to him saying, oh yeah, you should be working at Islam Channel on their Islamic stuff, and then going, okay, you should be helping with Al-Maghrib, and then going to this, and then like, if you look at the journey, it's not that perfect path where I said, okay, Dad, I'm going to be a doctor, and then I just go down that route and I become a doctor. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of share some of that stuff with you so that you start to understand, you know, remember, it's about your intention, it's about your process, it's about some of those things. And I just wanted to give that reminder to you and to everyone else listening, just so it kind of gives some context. So what I would say to you is that what you need to do, I believe, is specifically start making a small impact somewhere, right? Start making a small impact somewhere, and then grow that slowly. If you can grow it fast, great, grow it fast, right? And I'll give you an example. Like I said, when I was working in my sales role, I felt like it was too money oriented. I went to someone to ask advice. They said to me, why don't you join this helpline? I had nothing else I was doing at that time. I joined the helpline and I started to make a small impact with just that one thing. And of course, it was huge for me at the time, but it was still just like me going there once or twice or 3 times a week, whatever it was, and just like being there, right? But I'm saying that was real impact. It gave me a chance to help other people, do something for the sake of Allah, and build my skills, and so much came from it because I sacrificed that time and stuff. I think when we're working for Allah, you're always going to have to fight this battle. Right? I call my life a circus, right? Because like you say, there's things going on here with family, there's commitments, there's this issue, there's that. It's just like a circus, right? And so you have to make time for it, and you have to get committed. So that could start in any scale that you feel is right. But fundamentally, like, you know what you want to do. You want to help other people for the sake of Allah, right? You want them to be closer to Allah. You want them to avoid the things that you went through, to come out the other side if they're going through it, and all these kind of things. So what I feel is that you need to basically give yourself to maybe an organization. Maybe you need to give yourself to a cause. The truth is, with things like YouTube and all this kind of stuff, like, you can actually start that way as well, where you just kind of go out there publicly and you're trying to help people on this and that, grassroots stuff. I'll give you an example. One of the other reasons that I really love communication and confidence and all this stuff is, and it's another reason why I chose it. One is because I felt like it has such a big impact on people, yeah? Like, where I found that someone who had little confidence or the wrong kind of style of communication, once that thing was fixed, these guys became like powerhouses and monsters in what they could achieve from an impact perspective. And then secondly, I felt like I could bring the transformation about very quickly myself, right? So what would take someone normally on their own years, I could bring about in a very short time. And so these are the kind of mixtures that I was thinking about. So in the same way, what I'm saying to you is that you kind of know, look, I went through this issue, 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 and I came through on all of these. Like, out of these issues, which one could I help someone on most? Which one is a very painful issue? And then really kind of go, you know what? This is my one thing. And it's kind of like, you know how people say today, like, Amazon is like the biggest seller of products online. Well, Amazon, they only started with one product, right? Which was books. That was the only thing they did. They niched in that one thing. Same with Facebook. Like, Facebook's all over the world, but they just started with one university, right? And so in the same way, I feel that you need to kind of really think to yourself, look, what is one cause that I really care about? Like, I'll give you an example, right? It's 1 a.m. in Turkey right now. Okay. And I am here online live with you, and I'm fully here with you, and I love being here with you, right? And I'm saying that this is the kind of stuff that you need to find, that, you know, 1 a.m. in the morning, if you have to get up and do it, you'll do it, right? And so I feel that you need to kind of find that one thing, and then you need to go to work at it, right? So whether that's like at the local, you know, youth center or the masjid or whatever, but something you need to grab as a cause, and that will start to perfect you, right? It's like, you know, it's going to start to purify you, and it's going to start to give you experience and sharpen your saw and give you skills and all of that. And then what I'm saying is that fundamentally, it's kind of like the product thing, where it doesn't really matter what you pick at this stage. Why? Because you're going to go through a journey of chaos like I did to eventually end up where you want to end up. And maybe in a couple of years, I might change my mind and go, you know what, I just want to work with orphan kids in Palestine. And that's fine. As long as your intention is for the sake of Allah, and as long as you're sincere in what you're doing and you can bring about that impact, it's great.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters too much what you pick. But I think what's important is picking something that you care about, picking something that you can do regularly, even if it's small, because these are the deeds that are loved by Allah the most, and then just giving your everything to it, even if you know nothing about it. So I'll give you an example, yeah? One of the most famous du'at, I would say, of all time, especially if you kind of been around a while, is Sheikh Khalid Yasin.
Yeah, I know him, yeah.
He had one talk that was very famous. Do you know what that talk was? It's called The Purpose of Life. He's done it everywhere. Literally, he did it everywhere in the world. Right? And he's known for that one talk, which was amazing. And he crafted it to the point where he delivers it in an amazing way, right? And so what I feel for you is that you should actually work on one specific talk that you're going to do that's going to help someone bring about a transformation from where they are now to where they need to get to. Or it's going to give them the guidance of what to do, right? So what I would advise is that you basically think of who you want to help, think of the problem they're facing, think of the kind of solution you're going to offer, and start to craft your purpose of life type of talk, right? And then what you're going to do, once you've done that, then you're going to basically find a place to deliver it, right? So once you deliver it once, you know, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be all of that. But once you deliver it once, then you're going to deliver it again and again and again and again and again, right? To the point where you just iterate and make it better, 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 to the point where it becomes potent, like that purpose of life course, where after every time he would deliver it, there'll be people ready to take the shahada, right? And it might just be that you just tell your story, you know, of where you went to, or you might just say 7 tips to, you know, navigate through the dunya in Australia or whatever. Like whatever it is, like, you know, you need to kind of come up with it. But you need to sit down and think about who's the person I want to help, where are they right now in their life, where do I want to get them to, what are the problems they're facing, what's the solution? Does that make sense? So it's less about like, let me get this overall thing that I'm now going to dedicate my life to, more to what's the one impact thing that I can do right now in my community that I can start on my journey to finding my path to paradise. When you're going to start to structure this talk, let me give you some very quick pointers. Is the way I would do it is I would say, who am I going to talk to? What's the problem they have? What's the solution? And then the way I would design the talk is very simply, what's the introduction? And then I would be like, what's the 3 big points I want to cover? What's practical elements to this? And then I would fill it with stories. One of the things you'll find is whenever I speak, I'm always telling you stories, right? When I was there, this happened, because people remember stories are very sticky, right? And so I want you to think about 2 or 3, 4 stories. I want you to start describing the stories with real color, real imagination, all this kind of stuff, and then really get to that kind of point.